Okay, this is part 3 of getting ready for a model horse show. So we're gonna stare at the cat here while I talk. Ha, Kishi Weeshi. Kishi! She's like, oh, shut up, I'm sleeping. Okay, so after you get all your stuff ready to go to your show, and you're heading out to wherever you may be going, maybe an hour's drive, 3 hours drive, 4 hours drive. Yeah, I've driven 4 hours to get to a show once, and that's just one way. So here is the thing. So when you get to your show, and the first thing is, don't get your models right away. Walk into the area that you know the show is being held. Make sure it's still there. Make sure, everything is cool. Check out, where the show is. Go in, see where your table is. A lot of times they will put your name on a piece of paper on the table where you are. And it's good to find out what table you're going to be, because if you've got a lot of horses and you have to do many trips to bring them all in, it's not a good idea to just charge in there and just start hauling horses around the rooms, because a lot of times there's some very expensive horses in there, and if you knock them over, you could be in serious trouble, and you may have to pay for some of those horses, which could be over $1,000. So it's just not worth it. So when you walk in, determine, where everything is. Make sure you know who the judges are, who is the main person that put on the show. You can greet that person, let them know that you're there, so they don't, so they know everybody's there who's supposed to be there. Say I'm here. Don't worry, because that's what I like to do. I walk in and I let the judges and the main event person know that, I will be coming in. I'm going to have lots of horses. And if there's other people in there, it's a good idea, to, when you walk in, just kind of position yourself so because sometimes the rooms are really small and the tables are so close together that it's really hard to get big boxes in there. And if you have to, let the person know beside you that you will be bringing in big boxes. So if they have a resin or a very expensive horse, they can hold that horse while you're bringing your boxes around, so that if you accidentally touch the table, that you won't tip any horses over. Because that was a little experience a friend of mine had, and she was very upset because she knocked over a very expensive model. So that's a interesting story. So once you get your horses in there and you bring them all in, you know where you're going to sit, stuff like that. Make sure that you check out where the bathrooms are, and you know where, kind of like the emergency exits are. It's always good to know this thing in case there's ever an incident where you may have to leave in a hurry. And another good thing is that if you have got a lot of horses, I always recommend bringing another person, either it being your parents, a friend, things like that. Since I will be turning 21 soon, I drive my own vehicle, things like that, and I have a friend of mine who comes with me to help me out at the shows, because I do have a lot of boxes and I have to drive for probably 2.5 hours, and then we get there and we have to take all the horses out and stuff like that. So it can be very, very tiring. And it's always good to have somebody there, in case you get lost or worried or, things like that. And if you're young, your parents, of course, will come with you. But it's always good to have somebody come along with you in case of emergencies. And also, another good thing is that if you have to go to the bathroom, they can put your horses on the table for you. I had that happen once where I had to go to the bathroom and I didn't have anybody with me. So I was trying to put horses on the table and run to the bathroom as fast as I could and then run back, and I had already missed 2 classes. So, it's always good to have somebody there, but it's not necessary, but it's a good idea just in case. So once you get into the room and you put all your horses on your table, stuff like that, make sure that you put the horses that are the tippiest on their sides. Put them on like a piece of fabric or fluff or something soft. It's not a good idea to have tippy horses on a table. Reason being is that I had several huck molds on my table, and of course, the families that come to these events sometimes bring little kids. So they brought some kids, and they accidentally backed into my table, and they knocked over 4 of my hooks onto the floor. Luckily, they were not damaged or broken, but the huck molds are known for being tippy. So if you got a tippy model, put them on his side. It's always just a precaution thing. It's not necessary, but if you got a lot of horses, you know, sometimes it doesn't work. You can also put horses underneath your table. That's another good little trick that I learned, is that you can put them under your table. Just make sure you don't step on them. And you can also leave them on top of your boxes that you bring with you, that you transported the horses. That's another good little thing to do, because sometimes you can have a lot of horses like I have when bringing the models to the shows. So, you know, once you get all your horses out and, you know, it's just about ready for the shows to start. The next best thing is to use the restroom. Use the restroom before it gets started. Usually the first probably maybe hour is the most hectic, because everybody is trying to determine, you know, what classes are what, who goes where, and there's a lot of commotion. So it's always good to use the restroom prior to the show starting. Okay, so once the show starts, the next best thing is to wait. Get in your seat and wait. Watch the main person who's doing the call out of the classes. Wait for the class to be called. Then you will pick up your model, your information card, and take your model and place him on the table with his information card. Then walk away carefully, not to knock over any models. Sit back in your seat and wait for the next class to be called. And then, of course, you know, when the class is done, then you can pick up your model. And the best thing is to wrap him and put him away. Or, no, sorry. Don't wrap him and put him away. That is if he's won a first and a second. So if your model has won a first and a second, do not put him away. Because you will be doing the reserve and the division champion. Now, if he didn't win a first or second, then put him away. Because then, you know, he won't get damaged or anything. But, you know, that's the little thing that I have. And then when the time comes that you may have to leave, there's less horses to pack away, and so forth. So, yeah. So, you know, once you get through all your classes and stuff, and you get your new ribbons and all that, make sure you put down the name of the horse on the back of the ribbon or on your information card, so you know what horses have won what ribbons. I had this happen to me in my last show where I was very crazy because I had a lot of horses and a lot of classes being held at the same time, and I didn't have time to put what horses won what ribbons. So by the time I got home, I was very confused. I forgot who won what ribbons and so forth. So, you know, that can be very crazy and hectic and stuff. But, you know, it's always a good idea to do that and so forth. And then, of course, you know, when the day comes to an end, you know, pack up all your stuff, make sure you check everything, and by the time you're ready to go, the good thing is that you should always go up to the person who held the show and say, thank you for holding the show, give your regards, so that the lady knows that, you know, you enjoyed the show, was very good, and you could give the person some compliments, you know, say, you know, what could be changed if you saw something that maybe was a little bit dangerous or something. A lot of the hosts for the shows are very open-minded, and, you know, they're very willing to help out and so forth. So, you know, it's always a good idea. I usually do that. I walk up and say thank you for holding the show, you know, and ask them, you know, any questions that you may have had and stuff like that. They're usually very open-minded. So generally, you know, that's pretty much it. There's not too much going for your first model. You just take your time. Don't rush it. If you have any questions, there's a lot of other model horse artists in the, you know, same field as you, and they're in the same room, and if you need any help, a lot of them are very willing to help you out. You can walk up and say, hey, I hope do you have a second to help me out? I have a question. And you say, I have this horse, and I'm very confused about what model to show him as. I'm new to the showing circuit, you know, and I don't know what to show him as. And a lot of them are very, very, very open-minded, but make sure you don't catch them right when they're trying to put models on the table or something like that. Wait till they go back to their seat and everything's calmed down. Then you can ask them. So yeah, but if you have any questions about showing, let me know, and I will do the best I can to answer any questions you may have.